In the 1960s, a physician named Stuart Wolfe stumbled upon something that didn't make sense. He was studying the town of Rosestow, Pennsylvania, a small community of Italian-American immigrants. The local doctor had told Wolfe about the town's remarkably low rates of heart disease. Wolfe was skeptical. He brought a team of researchers to investigate. What they found defied every medical assumption of the time. Men over 65 in Rosestow had heart disease death rates roughly half the national average. The town had virtually no cases of peptic ulcers, no suicides, no alcoholism, and almost no crime. Residents were dying of old age. That was it. Wolfe and his team spent weeks trying to find the explanation. They analyzed diets. Rostowns cooked with lard, ate sausage and pepperoni, and consumed plenty of red meat, hardly a heart-healthy menu. They examined exercise habits, but found no special fitness routines. They looked at genetics, but the town's families came from the same region of Italy as other communities with normal heart disease rates. Nothing added up. The breakthrough came when Wolfe realized the answer wasn't medical. It was cultural. Rosestow was a tight-knit community where 3 generations lived under the same roof, where neighbors looked out for one another, where people visited and cooked for each other, where the church was the center of social life. The town had created an environment that buffered its residents from stress. The community itself was the protective factor. This is how Malcolm Gladwell opens his book Outliers, the story of success. And he tells us why. I want to do for our understanding of success what Stuart Wolfe did for our understanding of health. Wolfe showed that health wasn't just about individual biology, it was shaped by where and how people lived. Gladwell argues the same is true for success. The book's central claim is direct and provocative. We've got success completely backwards. We tell stories about self-made geniuses who pulled themselves up by their bootstraps through sheer talent and hard work. We celebrate the lone hero who overcame everything through individual effort. But these stories are mostly fiction. Gladwell defines outliers as people who fall outside typical patterns because of extraordinary achievement. Think Bill Gates, the Beatles, or top hockey players. We assume they succeeded because they were simply better, smarter, or more determined than everyone else. But look closer and a different picture emerges. Success, Gladwell argues, is the product of hidden advantages, extraordinary opportunities, and cultural legacies passed down through generations. The Rosestow mystery illustrates this perfectly. Those residents weren't healthier because each individual made better medical choices. They were healthier because their community created conditions that made health possible. The same logic applies to success. No one rises from nothing. Every outlier stands on a foundation of circumstances they didn't create. Consider the structure of the book ahead. Gladwell divides it into 2 parts. The first examines opportunity, how small initial advantages compound over time, how the right birth date or the right year can make the difference between greatness and mediocrity, how thousands of hours of practice require conditions that most people don't have access to. The second part explores legacy, how cultural patterns from centuries ago continue to shape our behavior today, sometimes helping us, sometimes hurting us, but always influencing who succeeds and who doesn't. Throughout the book, Gladwell will challenge the romantic notion of individual merit. He'll show that the Canadian Junior Hockey League's best players aren't necessarily the most talented. They are just born in January, February, and March, giving them a developmental head start that snowballs into a career advantage. He'll demonstrate that Bill Gates and the Beatles each accumulated 10,000 hours of practice, but only because they happened to be in the right place at the right historical moment. He'll reveal that genius-level IQ doesn't guarantee success, and that family background often matters more than raw intelligence. The stories are surprising. The evidence is compelling. And by the end, Gladwell hopes we'll see success differently, not as something individuals achieve alone, but as something communities and societies make possible. But here's the question that hangs over everything. If success is shaped so heavily by factors beyond our control, by the family we're born into, the culture we inherit, the historical moment we happen to occupy, then what does that mean for how we think about our own achievements? And more importantly, what does it mean for how we design the systems that decide who gets opportunities and who gets left behind?